Okay, so it seems like there's been a massive development in this Sinder kind of situation, and this is pretty crazy. Well, she's essentially came out of a tweet literally 4 minutes ago saying the burden of proof is on the accuser, not the accused. They lied to you. Here's 1,000 pages of proof. Now that's insane. That's a pretty insane way to start this. And I mean, hey, we're going to go through this entire Google Doc right now and to see exactly what is actually going on with this. But bro, this is going to be crazy. And obviously, we were waiting for a, official response from Sinder, kind of clearing up all of this stuff if she really wanted to come back to the space. And well, if there is this much, well, I mean, it's going to be pretty crazy. So obviously she starts off by saying, "Hi everyone, it's been over 5 months since everything happened. I've never been good with words and I'm especially bad at verbalizing my feelings. I've always hid my insecurities and it's hard for me to open up about things, even to the people closest to me. It was nearly 2 a.m. for me on April 26th when Nanoless and Bao posted their documents together. After I'd finished streaming earlier in the night, I was awake for almost 40 hours by the time I posted my apology. Looking back at it, no, it wasn't good. I was not in the sound state of mind when it was written. I was blindsided by any of this coming out and the accusations made against me." Which is, yeah, fair enough. They say, "No one involved tried to contact me privately beforehand. I was unable to eat, sleep, or do anything else but watch more documents and statements be released while everything fell apart. I didn't have Red, I didn't have my friends, but I had the weight of the entire internet waiting to see what I was going to say and how I was going to say it wrong. I didn't have access to search for all the evidence to defend myself with the growing list of allegations, and I didn't have time to put it all together cohesively anyways. I was petrified. How could I possibly respond correctly to a coordinated effort like this in the state I was in without just blindly accepting fault for all the things I didn't do or never knew happened? I rushed to get something out of it, defend myself I could in the heat of the moment, and post it just so I could rest. No matter what I would end up saying, it would never be good enough. It took me a long time to mentally recover and have the ability to face any of this again. I couldn't look at anything Cinder related without breaking down. All of my fans that looked up to me were led to believe I was evil and encouraged to destroy or donate my merch," which, yeah, that was crazy. We talked about that in the previous situation, by the way. There's a lot of people destroying and donating merch away. Now, obviously, I don't think people should be encouraging it, but at the same time, I feel like it's pretty reasonable if people did want to do that whenever they found out about a lot of this stuff, right? And I mean, they said almost everyone I knew or cared about turned on me in an instant, and anyone who's ever had anything to say about me did. I had one of my close friends message me after everything was out there. I received R-word, docs, and death threats over these accusations, so I stepped away from the internet. I reconnected with Red and we worked things out between ourselves. So again, it seems like she has rekindled her relationship with Red, at least slightly. I don't know into what kind of sense though. Maybe she'll explain it further. She said, "I reconnected with Red, we worked things out between ourselves. When we were both ready to, he helped me with the long process of making this document. I didn't say almost anything else to anyone sooner, privately or publicly, because no one would believe me until I had absolutely everything put together to post all at once in one place." So yeah, pretty crazy statement so far. And obviously this is split up into a lot of different kind of documents and different threads and things, which is pretty crazy. Kind of, addressing everybody. So it's going to be pretty crazy. Again, so many pages to this entire document. Say purpose of this document to present the full story and facts and evidence around what happened with complete transparency, defend myself for what's been said about me, and provide mine and Red's perspectives and motivations about each situation. It wasn't my choice to make this public, but since it is, my side of the story matters too, which is 100% true. I think obviously even she admitted, I think her original kind of response which came out, this my apology response, was not very good. And I think that this one might actually be a little bit better in explaining her side of the story and things, rather than a lot of it, what it seemed like at the time was dumping a lot of it on Red. Now, obviously, maybe she can actually explain her kind of intentions and things with a lot of the things that have been going on. I said, dispel rumors, misconceptions, and theories about me, show how and why things actually occurred, and point out the refute discrepancies and lies in the claims or statements made against me. We've done things wrong, but the amount and degree of them has been incredibly exaggerated or completely made up. They say this document contains speculation, baseless accusations were made against me without evidence, so I've kept speculation labeled as such in the document. Most of it is supported by circumstantial evidence, but it should not be treated as a solid fact. This document is not to fuel harassment or spread hate towards anyone involved. I'm doing what's listed above and posting this document in the same public setting the original documents were. If you've harassed anyone involved in my defense, you are not my supporter. Your actions are reprehensible, and I've never advocated for anyone to do this for any reason. I'm sorry to anyone who's been affected by any actions of rogue community members against my principles. So again, obviously that is also a good little bit to add on to that. So they go on to say, I've been made out to be a two-faced, greedy, jealous, psychopathic narcissist who maliciously used, stalked, sabotaged, and betrayed those closest to me and anyone around me for my own gain for years, manipulating my way to the top like some kind of evil mastermind. You were lied to. There are things that I've done wrong, but this image of me could not be further from reality. This was a complete public assassination of my character over what were lies and assumptions, followed by my cancellation and disappearance, with my accusers profiting from it. If I was really the awful person I was made out to be, then this document wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have any way to refute the claims made against me. I could have just continued streaming and profited from the drama and the over 30 million views this situation garnered, which, yeah, pretty insane. They say I could have let everyone forget about this and come back like nothing ever happened, but it's not true. I couldn't allow myself to move on without making things right. Everything that's come out and stories that have been followed have been blown way out of proportion and turned into crazy conspiracies. Both Red and I have done nothing wrong. Both Red and I have done wrong. Sorry, not nothing wrong. They have done wrong, and all that will be addressed here. But the story everyone was told was not the reality of what happened. Every single person I've interacted with in almost the past 5 years, even those closest to me, and every single interaction with them would have been fake for the story told about me to be true. I say I believe there were two people responsible for how things played out, with a third person merely having an axe to grind against someone they never liked. They say nanoless lied overwhelmingly about what happened between her and Red, sat back and played everyone, including my friends. Charlie Lee lied about me from the start, orchestrated things behind the scenes, and manipulated the public to their side. Silverveil took the opportunity to lie about all of the interactions together, making things worse for me. They had the most to gain from my cancellation, including their own satisfaction. None of them could take accountability for their own actions and pushed it all onto me instead. The only two people that could disprove their lies were just made into lying manipulators and wiped off the internet. So yeah, I mean, obviously, here is the three people that obviously she is kind of mentioning here pretty heavily, right? And they say, for example, Nanoless and Shyla Lee are the ones that have been lying about her and have been spreading false information, which I think is pretty interesting because obviously from what we've seen, a lot of the evidence did back up what they were saying, but potentially there is a kind of turn here which, you know, Sinder can prove throughout this document, right? And also she's saying that Silverveil essentially just took the opportunity while it was there, you know, because again, I don't think she was like very involved with the situation behind the scenes of getting her, you know, cancelled or whatever. I think she literally just saw it going on and was like, okay, hey, now's my chance to also butt in on this, which I think, yeah, pretty crazy. They said, aside from the labeled speculation, everything presented in the document is true to the best of mine and Red's knowledge. I have nothing to hide, and there isn't a reason to hide anything anymore. The bulk of what is shown here was over the past 2+ years. Keep in mind that no matter who you are, opinions, thoughts, and feelings can change a lot over such a long period of time, for better or for worse. I went back and forth on a lot of things to put in here, asking myself if I should leave them out for the people I still care for, or keep them in my own sake. No matter what evidence is included in this document, it wouldn't be surprising if it's claimed that even with all of the evidence, all of this is just me trying to lie, manipulate, and gaslight my way out of everything that's happened, and that no one should possibly believe me again. So, yeah. They say, to show that I stand by everything written here, I'm sorry for all the things I've done wrong. I've made a very hard decision. I'm giving up my part ownership of GamerSupps, so she's no longer going to be the part owner of GamerSupps, which is pretty interesting. They say, I've worked so hard with them since December of 2022, and earned this position was one of the biggest accomplishments of my life. I'm honored that they chose to give me this opportunity, and I've been immensely proud to have this title. As sad as I am to do this, I feel like in the need to protect the company I love, and the people that work there, and everyone associated with my own interests, GamerSupps suffered a lot of damage when all of the accusations were made about me, and that fell on my shoulders. This is my responsibility as the part owner, and I don't want to any more harm or negativity to come their way. There are more things important to me than just business. I notified them of my decision in June, and it will take effect at the same time this document is published. So yeah, now that this is all published and everything, it seems like she is no longer a part owner. Now, she says, each tab in this document is about the people and events related to the claims made against me, where I've provided links to each person's respective statements for reference. So, okay, so she has linked the other people's statements. Again, we've gone through a lot of them. They said you're intended to read each section and in order they're presented. This document should be viewed in desktop at light mode for formatting to appear correctly. Some information and screenshots appear in multiple sections for whoever it's relevant to. The first few sections being nanoless, Bao, V-Card, and Numi's concert, and shyly culminate in a section breaking down what you've seen throughout them. With the last few sections of this document being standalone. Unless stated otherwise, every link in this document is working at the time this is posted. This document will not be edited after it's posted, either because we live in 2025, and I need to say this document was written without the use of AI, which, yeah, that's a very good kind of point to put in there, I guess. As I say, I understand that some of the things in this document may be damaging to the people involved. They understood that their claims would be damaging to me before they publicly made them too. Everyone can review the evidence for themselves and decide what really happened, and if I really am the person you are led to believe me to be, the burden of proof is on the accuser, not the accused. So yeah, pretty crazy introduction. So I kind of wanted to just leave that introduction in there to kind of show you guys exactly what she's been saying about all of this kind of stuff, which has been pretty insane. Now, obviously, we are going into a lot of the pages that include all of the different messages about these people. Now, I think what is best for this video, I will go through and read each of these pages, and then give you guys a little bit of a summary, because obviously that's what we do on this channel. I give you guys a summary. Obviously, the link will be down below if you guys want to read the entire full context of all of it, because again, it is a very, very long document. As she says, it's over 1,000 pages of proof. So again, we will be going through a lot of the summaries, including obviously this page here. So essentially in this redacted kind of part of this document, she talks about the fact that obviously Red makes a statement at the start talking directly to everybody, saying that he takes responsibility for a lot of his actions and obviously recognizes the fact that he hurted Cinder's kind of, image and everything like that, which again is, obviously taking a lot of accountability there. And I think that is fair enough. And they're saying that also that they are still together, and that Cinder also admits to cheating on him like years ago. For her own selfish reasons, but obviously that is their own personal kind of stuff. Again, there's nothing for us to really to dig deep into, because again, it's not really any of our problems, right? They said they decided on being private when she started the Cinder channel itself, and told close friends in March 2024. So yeah, they started opening up about it to some of her friends, because they would interact quite a lot at conventions and things like that. And people were kind of wondering, right? And then also, she also says that she lived with him from 2022 all the way to 2025 in about February, so the start of the year. And that Red had always helped her out with stuff like her, ASMR content and things like that when she was getting started. And yeah, essentially, she'd been living with them and streaming and things like that. But then she actually moved back to her home in February, and that was due to some stream disconnection issues. Apparently, it's just due to like internet and everything like that, right? And so she had to move back home, and that's whenever they were separated. And they didn't well, obviously, they still talked and things, and I don't really know what exactly went on personally, but again, obviously, she was at her house. He wasn't living with her at her house, right? So again, that obviously clears up some of the stuff if people are confused about that. And she goes on to say the Red will be continuing to work with her, but she will also obviously be in all of the channels that he kind of chooses to communicate with people on work terms with, so she can monitor exactly what he is saying, and yeah, prevent another issue like the one that we saw with many of the other VTubers that they were kind of interacting with. So again, that is also a positive moving forward. Obviously, some people might not be happy with Red obviously being involved still, especially considering that he had caused this mess in the first place, but she does kind of state that, she understands that he made mistakes, but she forgives him. So again, obviously that is totally up to Cinder whether she wants to continue working with him or not. They say there was never any reason for her not to tell her something important, obviously until they disagreed about Bao, and that's whenever the whole situation obviously happened. They said Like I said in my apology, there were things that Red didn't tell me about or hid from me and did without me knowing in his DMs. They are all shown in the in this document in the order below. I did not know about any of these things beyond what I was told, and if I was at all, it was Red's inclusion of Bao and Cotton in the exclusivity deal with Nano in January 2025. Obviously, that's in the original document of them saying like, you can't work on these models or whatever. You gotta be exclusive to Sinder, right? So Red telling artist number one, Bao, was someone he considered competition while discussing exclusivity the same day as his deal with Nano. Red's conversation with Nano about Shy Lily in April 2025. Red's conversation with Mod 1 about Silverveil throughout 2024 into 2025. Red asking Artist 2 about not working with Silverveil in March 2025. And Red's conversation with Artist 1 about Silverveil in April 2025, which Artist 1 told me about days later. So yeah, obviously, these were all the things that Sinder did not know about. Obviously, the last one, she got told a couple of days later. So again, obviously, it seems like, she did not know about any of these things that were going on. But before then, it seems like they were pretty communicative, but they also did have communication problems in general, which she does admit in the document, right? Obviously, they say there was a falling out. It said the nights the first documents were posted, Red was here with me. I ended my stream and he came over to see me while we worked on a few things together. We were still awake when Nano and Bao posted their documents at almost 2 a.m. EST. I didn't understand what was going on and started panicking. Red tried to explain what happened, but I blew up at him and kicked him out, regrettably refusing his help. We weren't in contact for almost a month after. I had one close friend reach out to me after things were public, and I responded to them sometime after Red was gone. I chose not to include their own message here. They said, I'm sorry, I'm trying to collect myself, Red and I aren't speaking right now, and I'm so upset with everything. So, obviously, yeah, it seems like she was obviously mad at Red over some of the things that he had been hiding from her in terms of the conversations that she put up there, which obviously is understandable, right? And we kind of knew this, from the start, that she, obviously in her apology, her initial one, that she didn't have a clue on some of the stuff that he was actually kind of talking about in DMs and more recently. So yeah, that obviously makes sense. That I was distraught and I posted that Red was fired later that morning. I wasn't trying to throw him under the bus and avoid accountability. I was blindsided by my friends publicly pointing the finger at me for his words and actions I didn't even know about and I didn't agree with. I didn't know what else to do. In my apology, I said, as of yesterday, he is no longer working with me and I have not extensively discussed any of this with him. I said, because Red will be continuing working with me, I'll be deleting this tweet sometime after posting this document. So yeah, obviously she will continue to be working with Redacted moving forwards, and it seems like they are still together as well. So again, pretty interesting, but let's just move on to the next one. So now we move on to this page, which is my apology and taking accountability. Now they say, now that I've reviewed everything that happened and had time to reflect on my own actions, there are some details I need to point out and corrections I need to make from my apology. Then I'll go over the things Red or I or both of us did wrong so we can take responsibility. Each section after this will explain the full story around each major individual involved, anything Red and I did, and defending ourselves against everything we didn't do. Quotes from my apologies will be present throughout this document to show what they were in reference to. So yeah, they say screenshots that are taken directly from another document are highlighted in orange, dates are in yellow, quotes are in grey, and red zone comments are in blue. So yeah, obviously they have the apology for reference up here, and they say the things that I claimed and admitted to in the apology were based on what I knew at the time and what was published in everyone else's document. And obviously, as she said, she was, pretty tired and everything. She'd been up for 48 hours when writing this. So she says, the main takeaway people had from my apology was that I pushed everything onto Red and didn't take accountability for anything myself. Now, yes, it did seem like at the time, whenever, she wrote it and stuff, that she was pushing a lot of onto Red. I don't think I would say that she pushed everything onto him, but I do think that a lot of it was kind of pushed his way, right? And obviously he said, what I blamed Red for in my apology because he was guilty of doing them. Him telling me how great it would be to work with Silverveil, him holding a grudge against Bao. So yeah, that's what that's what she blamed Red for in the apology. And they said, what I blamed Red for because when I was also guilty, Red was the one that, with the business-orientated outlook on things from the start. I adopted the same mindset myself from working together as the time went on. I wrongly made it sound like I was brainwashed into thinking this way in my apology. So obviously she takes a lot of accountability there, which again is good. They say what Red was guilty of in my apology that I didn't know about until writing it. I said Red and Nano ever talking about a model for Geary in November 2023. Red including Bao and Cotton in his conversation and eventual deal with Nano on exclusivity in January 2025, and bad-mouthing Bao in their DMs as if they were our shared feelings. Red talking to Nano about Shy Lily and her model in April 2025, sorry. And so obviously, that's what he was guilty of in his apology that she didn't know about until writing it. And obviously says things I said about Red in my apology that I was wrong about. He did not manipulate Nano, he did not push Nano to work with Silverveil, and she was not a constant topic between them. So yeah, obviously, she's clearing up some stuff that was in that apology document originally. Again, you guys can go back to the video of me covering that if you want to, or there is the document inside of this document, because obviously of course I'm going to be leaving a link to this if you guys want to look into it in more detail. It said things I took accountability for in my apology: agreeing with Red to talk with Nano about exclusivity, agreeing to specifically name Silverveil in the terms, and knowing a deal involving her was made. Guilt-tripping Nano, feeling overly attached to Nano and her work, not knowing about what Red had said about Bao to Nano when I should have, not speaking to Bao and Red's feelings towards her, and letting it spiral to the point it did. Being upset and taking it personally when Bao hired my video editor, being upset when Sacramore told us that he wouldn't be working with us again, confiding in Red about Charlie's behavior towards me, becoming resentful towards Silverveil, letting my insecurities and public comments influence my feelings towards Silverveil, assuming Spike copied me, being very possessive of my design details early on in my career, overreacting to Niantail's Hellhound OC design, which was apologized for in the past, cheating on my boyfriend, and neglecting or leaving behind friends of mine. So it said, she goes on to talk about, she admitted to the world that she had cheated on her secret boyfriend, and the story pushed that I took no accountability and used him as a scapegoat. Even with all of these concessions of what I did do, I was still somehow a narcissist who couldn't accept fault. What I did was not admit to the right things that these people making these claims already decided I was guilty of. They also expected me to apologize for everything I've ever done without any of it ever being mentioned, even if the matter was already settled in the past. So yeah, they said, I understand the things that my manager did that I didn't know are ultimately my responsibility and my ignorance, but that doesn't change that. I should have taken more care to check up on what he was saying and everything like that. So again, obviously, she is taking a lot of responsibility for a lot of the stuff that's been going on. Already, this is a much better clearing up post of, what she knew, what she is sorry about, what, she should have done better and things like that, which honestly, I think is already a bigger improvement than the last apology thing that we saw, right? Also, Red had a little bit of a message here as well, saying, I've always been more or less the creative lead on things we did, like model designs, project ideas, and art in general. So obviously this is just him backing up the, point that she was talking about, that there are 3 things in my apology I need to correct. They'll be shown in full detail in this document. I left out a lot of my information regarding my experience with Silverveil in trying to overly apologize to her, and ended up making things sound much worse than what really happened. I lied about not knowing that Red spoke to Nano about Spite in 2023 to make things worse for myself by revealing more than Nano or Spite did about what happened regarding her. I was wrong about which year the situation with Niantails took place in. I wrote that it was after my debut, but it was actually an entire year earlier. So again, also, owning up to some of the misinformation, lies and incorrect statements that she put in her apology, right? Which again is also a very positive step forwards. And obviously then she goes on to, all the other stuff as well, saying my apology and the accusations made against me did not cover everything Red and I have done wrong. I've laid out everything below that will be presented throughout this document so we can address them and take responsibility. Explaining the motives and reason behind our actions are not meant to justify or diminish them or the feelings of those affected, but to understand why they happened. So they say every one of us or both of us are guilty of that accountability is taken for and shown in this document in the order they're presented in. We both become neglectful of many friendships and personal relationships online and IRL. Red and I became consumed by our work and prioritized my career over everything else. Red considered everyone, including our friends, competition to some degree, and I agreed. Red and I left Tricky at our hotel in Tokyo one day during our Japan trip in October 2024. So obviously, yeah, they are literally taking accountability of all of this stuff, right? I said, I chose to distance myself from Cotton after what happened between her and a friend. I tried going back on my agreement with the artist Nixiu, in April 2025. Red asked Nano not to work with Spite in January 2023 and told me about it afterwards. I lied about not knowing he spoke to her about Spite in my apology to avoid talking about it. Okay. Red initially dissuaded Nano from accepting a model from Giri in November 2023. I guilt-tripped Nano in November 2023 and February 2025, but still sided with her. Red reassured Nano about her considering and cancelling Bao's model in 2024. I knew Bao's model was cancelled in August 2024 and didn't try to do anything about it. Red and I talked with Nano about exclusivity, including not to work with Silverveil, specifically on any more models in January 2025. Red and Nano agreed to a deal for not to work with Silver, Bao, or Cotton in January 2025, only telling me about Silverveil's inclusion. Red spoke to Nano about Shy Lily in April 2025 after seeing Nano work on a model for her and never told me about this conversation. We asked our video editor about exclusivity after Bao started working with them in September 2023. Red convinced himself Bao gatekept our video editor to hurt our future music video project in December 2024. Then he held a grudge and list of grievances against her. I didn't speak to Bao to clear things up about what I knew Red held against her, and it led me to being an awful friend to her for months at the start of 2025. Both Red and I mismanaged the planning and communication with Numi about her concert at the start of February 2025. I pulled out of performing in her show and almost didn't go after choosing business over my friends. We both grew to dislike Silverveil over the past few years for various reasons, including harassment and comparisons, my own insecurities, and how Silverveil acted towards me. Red asked an artist not to work with Silverveil in March 2025 and never told me about it. Red and I assumed that Spite was copying me in 2022 and early 2023. I overreacted to Nyan Tail's Hellhound OC design in 2021. So that is all of the things that she is saying that they are guilty of, and the accountability is taken for and shown in this document that they are presenting it. Now, obviously, I feel like whenever we continue this video, I feel like I'm going to only cover these early bits, obviously the redacted, the introduction in this, and then I think in a separate video, we will go probably to, all of these other kind of individual cases for Silverveil, Nanoless, Bao, Shy Lily, because again, they are all extremely spicy. I think I'm going to release it day by day because I want it to be more digestible for you guys, because I understand this is a very, very long document, right? And obviously, I will also include the looking ahead and the message to the Power Pups in this video too, right? They say every claim of wrongdoing that was made against Red or I that isn't listed above this is not true, whether it was an assumption or a lie in someone's document statement about me or verbally on stream. I would list the false accusations here, but there's been such a ridiculous amount at this point, I don't even know where to start. I will let this document speak for itself. So again, obviously, yeah, if it is not on this list, then Sinder obviously claims that, it was not a kind of thing that happened, which, yeah, is pretty insane. They say, my friends, it's been falsely claimed that I was using, manipulating, sabotaging, betraying, and backstabbing all of my friends for years in an effort to deplatform them and ruin their careers. There was never some kind of years-long grand conspiracy of deceit against anyone, and I've never pushed the ladder down behind me. I've never been jealous or envious of any of my friends or anyone else. My friends were not stepping stones I used to further myself. I loved my friends. Our experiences together were real. Our memories together are real. It hurts, and I even need to say that here, that there are plenty of things my friends know I've done for them, helped with them with, or included them in for no other reason than they were my friends. I've always answered their questions and offered them advice when they asked, done my best to be there and support them at their debuts with their own endeavors, and I've personally bought them so much of their merch for myself without ever saying so. I've literally bought brownies my mum made across the country to share with them. I spent my own time making one of a kind cosplay pieces of their VTubers of their VTubers for them for no other reason than they were my friends. More than 3 finished pieces below were planned for more of my friends, including Bao, before I put all of my crafting focus into my near-listed cosplay. It meant a lot to me that I could make things that meant a lot to them. So yeah, these are all the things that she had made, obviously, to do with her friends, which again, obviously shows, you know, she's kind of showing a lot of, I guess, how much she cared about her friends. And, you know, because obviously, a lot of the sentiment has been, hey, you know, you backstab your friends, you never liked them in the first place, right? That's the kind of sentiment that was going around whenever the original document came out. But I think, you know, obviously this proves that she did honestly care about her friends, you know, in some way, right? And I think that does mean quite a bit here. It said, I don't know what they think I did against them, or what was other than what was listed above, or where these ideas came from, or what rumors they were hearing about me, or how my friends collectively agreed this must have been the case after everything we've done and shared with each other. I absolutely could have been a much better friend, but I just can't believe every single one of them thought this little of me at a moment's notice. There are about a dozen of my friends involved before Nano's document was posted, and still not one of them said anything to me before they were posted publicly. A lot of my friendships did suffer due to where my priorities have been, especially over the course of 2024, because of my focus being overwhelmingly on work and less of my personal relationships outside of it. I neglected people I cared about, and so did Red, both online and IRL. Even my closest friends, unless it was about work, I didn't put much energy into just talking and hanging out. But that's not to say I never did or never wanted to or disliked them for any reason. So obviously, yeah, she's going on to say that, you know, obviously she was very work focused, and her and Red were very heavily into work, which I think is okay. Obviously that does happen sometimes. Sometimes you do get consumed by your work and you have no time for friends. You have no time to go out and, you know, see them or, you know, hang out with them because you're so focused on work and content, right? And I can definitely understand and, you know, sympathize with that kind of stuff, right? They said my collabs with my friends were made into YouTube videos, but to say I was using them for that as if countless other VTubers don't do the same thing is crazy, which, yeah, I do obviously agree with too. They say, I'm sorry to those of my friends who I haven't given time to that they gave me. I'm sorry for those that I haven't spoken to in a long time for no other reason than my own negligence. And I'm sorry to my friends that I only focused on work with and didn't spend enough time being a friend outside of it. And obviously she goes into the whole business mindset of it, which obviously I'll give you a little bit of a summary. So she essentially goes on to explain, obviously, a lot of the motivations behind the content that she was making and why she was so focused on it. Obviously, a lot of people were claiming it's because of money and she wanted to just make money, and that's why, you know, they were focused so hard on working. But it seems like, obviously, she says that it was actually due to ambition and how much, you know, she cares about, you know, creating content and kind of building up this brand that she's made. Not because, you know, obviously she says the money was nice, but it's never been a driving factor. It was just the fact that she had a kind of successful project or a successful event or whatever, which obviously, you know, makes you feel good whenever stuff like that happens. And I can totally understand that from a, you know, content creator perspective, right? It's good whenever a video does good. And, you know, I can, yeah, totally understand that, right? And also she talks about the fact that some people apparently were saying, you know, she had an intermission during one of her debut videos where her chat needed to fill a gold bar on screen with bits, and many people thought that was because they were doing it for money or whatever, but it was more so due to interactivity, because there wasn't really much, you know, interactivity during a debut, which, yeah, again, is pretty understandable. So this mindset got myself and my career to where it was, and obviously, yeah, she just kind of, you know, clarifies that she is a very, obviously, business forward person. She likes working, she likes putting a lot of her kind of, I guess, focus onto her, you know, projects and onto her career in general, which obviously is understandable. And obviously then they talk about the competition and everything going on with Red. So pretty much what Red says in the statement is that obviously there is a constant race of relevancy, right? People constantly want to be in the limelight and want to be popular. And, you know, obviously that is 100% true. You know, a lot of content creators, including myself, you know, you want to be on top, you want to be kind of noticed. And that is 100% true. And, you know, he goes on to say that, you know, the competition isn't always supposed to be a bad thing. You know, a lot of the people that you're competing with are often, you know, friends, collaborators, co-workers, partners, things like that, which also have, you know, similar kind of goals and everything like that, and you're all working to achieve it. And it doesn't mean that you have to put other people down and everything like that. They said the only people I've ever considered as direct competition in the negative sense were people either that had something against us, or they did something against us and were working with artists important to us. By April 2025, this was only Silvervale from how she acted towards Cinder for years. Bow after what I thought she did to us and other friends in December of 2024, but only until sometime after my deal with Nano in January 2025, and potentially soon to be Lily, by the way that she was treating Cinder, coincidentally getting a model from Nanoless at the same time. It was so wrong of me to feel this way, especially towards Bao. I'm sorry. And also, they go on to address a lot of the people as well. They said, here I want to address the people Red and I hurt that don't have a larger section in this document. So she goes and actually addresses a lot of the people. Tricky, they said, my friends Red and I traveled to Japan about last year, and about a week into our trip around the country, we arrived in Tokyo for the last few days there. Red, Tricky, and I were all talking about going to the Godzilla store the night we arrived, but other plans left us and we had no time. The next morning, Red and I were up super early and were ready to leave the hotel around 8 or 9. We waited in a hotel for about an hour without hearing from Tricky at all, because we only had a few days left in Japan. Red and I wanted to make the most of our remaining time. We were around friends all week and didn't have much, if any, time alone together in Japan. The other half dozen of us there either had their own plans or were still sleeping too. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty understandable as well. They said by the time Tricky was awake and ready to leave the hotel, Red and I were across the city and didn't go back to get her. We only met up with her towards the end of the day when everyone else reconvened somewhere. Red and I are sorry to Tricky for leaving her behind and hurting her. We've always been there for her, especially when we traveled together. We didn't think that she'd be left completely alone with how many of us were in Tokyo, but we still should have waited for her instead of going off on her own. So again, obviously apologizing to Tricky there. To Cotton, they say, I'm so sorry to Cotton for any way that I avoided her or turned down collabs together for a situation that had nothing to do with me. I thought I was being a good friend to someone I was close with, but it's unfair to treat her that way. I did not agree with how Red included her name in his deal with Nano, and I wouldn't have let him if I knew about it, regardless of how I felt about her at the time. Obviously, we got Red as well adding a comment there saying it was wrong of me to ask Nano not to work with Cotton, which, yeah, obviously saying it's a spur of the moment thing. And after hearing about the situation she's involved in, I took it upon myself to do what I thought was right. They go on to Nixayu. They said Nixayu deleted her tweet with a document about me. She shouldn't have, because she was right. I was going to include it in here for reference, but I've left it out because of what she wrote in it. So instead, here's a summarized version of the situation. Second, I don't want any kind of public reaction to this. I really do not want to appear on videos similar. I do not want my case to be used as an excuse to put more hate into it. This is coming from the document, I think, by the way. Obviously, she said that highlighted in orange. So obviously that's Nixio saying that she didn't really want to be thrown into the hate, right? It said, is an artist who reached out to her via email about making artwork in exchange for showing it off and giving her a shout out to her Patreon on stream. I hadn't seen the email, but she made a tweet laying out her terms, tagging me in it. I messaged her that I was interested. I put in her contact with Red, and he handled her things from there. Through Red, we made our agreement. It wasn't until she had a large portion of the sketch finished when I had changed my mind about our agreement and didn't want to do it anymore. I don't know what was going through my head or what reasons were for this, but I told Red to call it off. Red tried to make it seem like there was a miscommunication somewhere to save face for me, but it was really because I was being unprofessional. He talked to me and I agreed to follow through with the art showcase and shout out on my stream. However, I failed to follow Nixio's terms as they were agreed upon. I didn't verbally shout out her Patreon and only showed the link to it that was on her artwork. I also didn't show the censored NSFW version of the artwork, but that was because I was worried about getting in trouble with Twitch. This is an unprecedented action I caused with the artist, and I've never done something like this with anyone else. I handled an argument I made extremely and regrettably unprofessionally. This was the way out of character for me. and I'm sorry for Nixiu for how I handled things and for the stress I caused her. I encourage anyone reading this to please support her and her incredible work. So yeah, obviously apologizing and taking accountability for a lot of the things that she's done, and a lot of the things that, you know, caused some upset between, you know, these VTubers, right? And also artists too. So again, these people do not have a big part in this whole document, which again, as I said, we will be going through in future videos to kind of go through each individual one, because I want to give each individual one, you know, obviously the time of day to kind of go through it, because again, it seems like there's some pretty big stuff here, and it will be coming out, you know, regularly throughout the next couple of days as I go through them all. So again, content will probably be a little bit filled up on this. Now let's go to the obviously message to the Pyro Pups and the looking ahead, because I kind of want to give you guys a little bit of a conclusion of what is really going on and where she like, you know, wants to move forwards to. And then obviously, as I said, I will be making more videos on these other kind of breakdowns of the situation and everything like that. So yeah, let's get into it. So here is the message to the Pyro Pups, and they say, to any current or former Pyro Pups, I'm so sorry to each and every one of you that I've disappointed. I can imagine that it must have felt like someone you look up to must have been revealed as a monster and your community torn apart. I made a poorly put together statement and disappeared, leaving you all angry, confused, and lost. Many of you lost faith in me. I'm sorry I haven't said anything sooner, but I hope now you can at least understand why. I've received messages from Pyro Pups who were hurt. Some of these personally, people I personally knew and had met in person. It broke my heart hearing how many of them viewed me after this, and I understand. To any Pyro Pups who choose not to support me going forwards, I can accept that. Thank you for everything that you've done for me. I'm glad I could be your Okami Oshi. For the time I was, sorry. I only ask that you continue to love and support your new favorite creators the same way you did for me. That I've also gotten a load of messages from Pyro Pups in support of me, encouraging me to go on. To those of you who've continued to believe in me, thank you. I've appreciated you keeping the fire in the community and burning all this time. I've read your messages, and they've given me the hope that I could make it through this. You've shown me that there is something to come back to. That includes the moderators who stuck around and managed my Discord server and the community in my absence. I cannot thank you enough for this and your help of keeping everyone together. So obviously, yeah, she's been obviously very kind of, you know, supportive of a lot of the Pyro Pups who have been very supportive through this entire period, which again, there has been a lot. You know, the Pyro Pup Center has been very, very positive and, you know, kind of, you know, nice about everything, considering everything that's happened, you know, and obviously that is great, including obviously a lot of other people as well. They say, to anyone who sent hate or harassment in support of me, you are not a Pyro Pup. You are not my fan. You are deplorable, disgusting, and I do not want anything to do with you. Damn. I've never condoned or encouraged that behavior from anyone for any reason, and the circumstances haven't made me sacrifice my morals. That goes for anyone who does the same after this document is posted. What's done is done, and regardless of what I said in this document, is not an excuse to harass anyone named here. Leave them alone or you will be removed from my community. I want to sincerely apologize again to anyone who's been affected by these people. So obviously, yeah, she goes on to say that, you know, the Pyro Pups has been the best community she could have ever asked for. And obviously, Red also puts his apology in there as well, saying it's my fault that any of this happened in the first place. My mistakes sent Sinder into hiding and left you all questioning on what to do. So yeah, obviously that is the message to the Pyro Pups. And then finally, we're going at the looking ahead section. It said, earlier this year, my world fell apart. I lost my friends, my fans, and my opportunities I could have only ever dreamed of. But sometimes things need to fall apart in order to rebuild them back better. I'm choosing to look on the bright side. I need something to break me out of my cycle of working all day, every day, and adjust my lifestyle for a healthier work-life balance. This was a long overdue reminder that the friends I've made should have been the most important thing in the world to me, and I should have put more time and energy into my relationships with them outside of the work we did together. They were supposed to be by my side even when I'm not Sinder anymore, and I lost sight of that in my never-ending pursuit of the next big thing. It forced me to recognize that my own actions or inactions I was hurting people that only ever wanted the best for me. If ever given the chance, I don't plan on making that mistake again. Despite everything that's happened, I forgive my friends. I do not hold anything against my friends who weren't involved, the artists I've worked with, business partners, and former mods for anything they did after this all happened. I'm sorry for how they were all affected by this. I've had more than enough time to think everything over and over and over again. Obviously, the root cause, almost everything that happened was because of poor communication between Red and I. Between me and my friends, and between them and me, and poor decisions made under pressure. I was under pressure from Red about his feelings about Bao that made me distance myself from her. Pressure on myself that made me choose V-Card over going to Numi's concert, and pressure from harassment and insecurities that led me to trying to cut off Silverveil from Nano's models. Red and I both had plenty of time to talk things out with people, and neither of us did. Everything that was made public could have been settled privately. This has set an awful precedent for the entirety of the VTuber community, which I feel has become more divisive and drama-filled since this happened. I've always had problems communicating with people. I will do my best to be more open about what I'm thinking and feeling to them, even if it's difficult to avoid any situations like this from happening ever again. Both Red and I have both made mistakes. We aren't perfect people, but we aren't evil either. We're going to try to contact anyone we owe an apology to personally, even if an apology was to them was in this document, and hope to move on. I don't blame the internet for being the internet, making memes at my expense, and countless news and drama channels farming for this for views. That's me, guys. It's just business, and this is just another Google Docie. But I didn't want to hide this for the rest of my life, and I couldn't let my legacy be decided by anyone other than myself. Now there's nothing else for me to say, and I can finally look ahead. I'm ready to return to doing what I love, even if it's on a smaller scale. I want to stream again, I want to create again, I want to inspire people again, and I want to be someone that people can look up to again. I love being a VTuber, and I love being Sinder. Thank you for reading, and thank you for waiting. So yeah, obviously that is the entirety of the kind of introduction and conclusion of this. Obviously we are still missing her, obviously in-depth look at some of the kind of, people who have been commenting on the situation and have made Google Docs and things. We're going to go into nanoless's kind of page, Bao's page, Charlie's page, the breakdown, Silverveil, Aru, Spite, all of those ones, and the V-Card and Numi concert in separate videos. I'm not going to make a video for each one of them. I'll probably include like 2 or 3 of them in one video at a time, because again, it's a very big document. It's like 1,000 pages, right? So again, obviously I will try to cover that as soon as possible. The next post will probably be in the morning whenever I wake up, because it's like 4 AM right now. So again, I will continue to cover this, but from what I've seen so far, she takes a lot of accountability for a lot of the things that she has done, and has actually got, a lot of pages of evidence, as it seems like, that she is, trying to, not cover up, trying to uncover exactly what has really went on here, with a lot of evidence to kind of support her claims. From what we've seen in these pages that we have covered so far, I feel like a lot of this is actually very positive, and it's moving forward, and I feel like there is a lot of things explained onto what kind of good and bad things happen. Now obviously it's going to be a separate kind of thing to see how other VTubers react to this. I mean, obviously this was only posted a couple of minutes ago. It's got 220,000 views right now. It's pretty insane. You're saying, y'all read the Google Docs of the other side, don't go all TLDR on this one, which yeah, obviously there is 2 sides to this, because obviously it's 1,000-page Google Doc, right? So I can understand why many people don't really want to get into it and want to TLDR it, because again, it's a very, very long one, and a lot of people don't have the time or effort to do that, even though they are so invested in it. But obviously I'm trying my best to shorten it down for you guys and give you guys the important bits of the document. And as I said, the document will be linked down below so you guys can go and see it. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people have been reacting to this. It's going to be interesting to see how a lot of the people mentioned in this document respond, or if they even respond at all. Nanoless, Bao, Shylily, Silverveil, Spite, Aru. Will they reply? Will they not? We'll have to see. And obviously that will all be covered over here as well. Hopefully in some longer videos than this one. This might be the longest video I've ever made on this channel. So yeah, it's been a pretty crazy situation. But as I said, I will be continuing to cover this situation, be continuing to cover this document as we go through it, hopefully into some more bite-sized pieces for you to really get into what she has said about all of these VTubers who have obviously made documents on her, and how they have lied and things. Because obviously during the kind of introduction, we know all of the things that she has owned up to, and said that these are the things that she has done. And then also said anything else she has not done, right? And also, calling out people like Shylily by name. We saw all of that, which again, I thought was pretty insane too. So obviously there is some pretty crazy stuff going down there, which again, will be out in the next video as we go through all of that. But again, if you guys do enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I hope this has helped you kind of navigate through all of this. I know this is a very long video, so thank you for watching through all of it. And again, I'll continue to update you guys as it goes on. But yeah, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.